10 minutes of nonstop news, starting today with a live picture of the High Park fire burn area from Air Tracker 7.
Firefighters holding their own today, making some progress against the flames on multiple fronts.
So here's the latest now on the High Park fire. The fire is now just over 43,000 acres officially. Until just about an hour ago, the air tankers used to create a line of retardant around the fire, they were grounded. Winds and smoke just making it too dangerous for them to fly. The fire is 5% contained. However, crews hope it will be 10% contained by nightfall. Of growing concern, the western flank of the fire, which is beginning to move into an area where 70% of the trees have been killed by beetles.
There was some good news today for families like Michael Belilo and his wife. After going over maps of burned areas, they now believe their home near Masonville and hopefully their horses have been saved.
We're okay. The wind has been keeping us out of danger, but of course that changes. I mean, especially in the canyons, it'll whip around and do different things.
Now, we have team coverage of today's developments, crews on the fire lines in Larimer County, as well as in the 24/7 Weather Center. And we start with 7 News reporter Russell Haythorne near the edge. Russell?
Well, Mike and Ann, some encouraging news from here. They just pulled the roadblock about 20 minutes ago, so the situation inside this pre-evacuation zone doesn't seem nearly as imminent as it did earlier this afternoon. Still, the fire is burning to the north and west toward Glacier View, where we're told there are thousands of homes and 600 permanent residents. David, kind of talk to us about what we're looking at here.
We're in the direct path. We're hoping. You can see down here we've got some open areas. There are some meadow areas kind of in the valleys between some of these ridges, and I'm hoping that some of that area will help.
Day 4 of the High Park wildfire.
I'm worried, yes.
It's pretty frightening. I mean, you know that it's serious. It's a monster.
And it's still out of control, forcing even more pre-evacuation notices.
We do the horse rides up there, and we're just coming down. I'm going to try and find some place to bring part of our horses out.
Residents in the Glacier View area are now fleeing with their livestock as sheriff's deputies try to calm nerves.
We'll put a white flag.
Yeah, white flag. Okay. If it crosses over the river, and it might have already, the Poudre River, and gets on the backside of Glacier View and Deer Meadows, then we got real problems because all this dead timber in here, as you can see, is going to go up.
We know what to do. I mean, we don't take chances with fire.
So again, this fire is moving to the north and west, about 15 miles north and west of Fort Collins, and about 15 miles from the southernmost tip of this fire. But the good news is this plume of smoke you see just beyond the ridge has settled down significantly late this afternoon. We're live in North Larimer County. Russell Haythorne, Mike and Ann, back to you.
We'll take any bit of good news. Thank you, Russell.
We saw that massive growth spurt of the fire over the first couple of days, but the High Park fire has slowed down somewhat. It's just over 43,000 acres, about 10% bigger than yesterday. We're going to find that out for sure tonight at 8 o'clock. Another live look at the fire from Air Tracker 7. You can see a lot of smoke still pouring off of that fire. And 7 News reporter Mike Trim is joining us now from the command post. Mike, fire crews are hoping to slow that growth even more and soon.
That's right. We heard that word, Mike, today from several authorities, including the governor himself, who stood here just feet away from me talking about what residents need to do that are really being asked to evacuate those areas that we've been talking about. Another headline here is that 50 National Guard members will be called out to help with road closures and road blockages. Let me tell you the scene I'm looking at right here, though. This is Bellevue, and this is the Horsetooth Reservoir as you see it right now. Plumes of smoke still coming up. I know we've seen these pictures, but you can't see them enough. They are very dramatic, and you can definitely, in the past few hours, we've seen some of those tankers drop water, some helicopters passing through, but for the most part, it's been the work of fire crews on the ground. We did stop by the Incident Command Center at the National Guard Armory in Fort Collins. A little later, you can see the tents there. That's because all these firefighters, up to 500 of them, are staying in those tents overnight, trying to get out into these communities and save these homes. The governor had really high praise for these firefighters, and I asked him the question, what's the message to residents that are sitting at home tonight wondering if they should evacuate their homes or not?
As I've been trying to reassure them and say, listen, you've got literally hundreds, probably just about 1,000 people out there now working to protect your home. But our highest priority is your life. And if people people have to recognize when they evacuate, they make it easier for the protection of their homes, and they allow a much more successful firefighting operation to exist.
As we come back live here to Bellevue, you can see a helicopter over in the distance near the Horsetooth Reservoir. It was very, very hazy. I know we've been talking about how hazy it was and the conditions so those planes couldn't get into the air today, but obviously visibility a little bit better for now. We expect another briefing here at 8 p.m. Hopefully they can give another containment update, but as of right now, still hoping for 10% containment either by the end of the night or later in the week. We'll find out later at 8 tonight. For now, though, we are live in Bellevue. I'm Mike Trent for 7 News.
Thank you very much, Mike.
More evacuations issued today, including areas around Pingree Park Road, as well as Hourglass and Comanche reservoirs. Now, some residents south of County Road 38E are being allowed to return home, where you know they're happy to return.
I'm stoked, man. My house didn't burn down. My Harley's all right.
And you got the dogs.
And my dogs are good.
Dogs are good. 7 News reporter Jaclyn Allen joining us from the evacuation center. And Jaclyn, families very slowly learning more about their homes.
It's interesting. We're seeing people like the man you just heard from who are excited they get to go home or their homes are still standing. We're hearing heart-wrenching stories from people who are just learning that their home is completely gone and they've lost everything. I have one of those happy stories here with me now. This is Jeff and Terry Anderson. They're with the Tip Top Guest Ranch, and you guys just got some good news today. Tell me about it.
Yeah, they just told us that all of our structures are still standing. One of the structures that fire went through, but they saved the structure. It's the Heidi Ho cabin. It's our most popular cabin up there that people absolutely love. So, you know, praise God, we are still there, and He is protecting us so far. This way, yeah, we're extremely happy.
And Terry, I talked to you just a couple days ago, and you were telling me that your ranch was right in where it was a horseshoe shape for a while, and yours was right at the top, and you were sure it was going to be gone. Obviously, this is a huge relief for you and your family.
Oh, it really is. The horseshoe did close in. The Heidi Ho cabin he's talking about, they say, is a moonscape right now, all the way around. And they said they don't know how the house was saved, but it is still there. And when they were up today, they had a helicopter dropping water on the main house, still working to make sure we saved it.
Incredible. They've been doing incredible work out on the fire, and that's one thing we keep hearing from evacuees. They're so grateful for the work these firefighters are doing here. We'll have more on that tonight at 10. Reporting live, Jaclyn Allen, 7 News.
All right, Jaclyn, thank you. And as we confirmed last night, 62-year-old Linda Stedman died in the fire. We talked to her youngest son today. He says she was a very private person. She would not want this type of attention. He tells us the family takes comfort knowing that she is now, quote, with a lot of great family.
As they attempt to fight this fire with everything they've got, researchers at CSU are helping. They're keeping a close eye on it from space, using satellite images to track the path of the fire and the smoke, trying to predict where the fire might go next. Mike Nelson, that great technology is something that's a huge help in trying to help the firefighters do their very, very best work. But you still have to watch it every day and every moment to see what's going to happen next in terms of getting the planes off, all kinds of issues.
Talked about the visibility today. Here's a live shot from Air Tracker, so depending on what they're looking at, I guess we're zooming in at the moment. But a lot of haze and smoke particles up there, and the reason for that today is because the winds have been quite light, which is a benefit in many ways, but it does make the visibility more difficult in rough terrain, flying low and fast, and these aircraft to be very, very careful. So what we had happen was a cap or an inversion of warmer air aloft over the fire area during the last 18 hours or so. Cooler air near the surface, and that means that you have poor visibility because this cap just traps all of the particles down low. You had to get the temperatures warm enough to try and mix that air out a little bit. So satellite view shows a lot of cloud cover and haze. Winds are still very light in the area, generally single digits. The humidities are up a little bit and the temperatures down a little bit, mostly in the low 70s for today, but no rain. These clouds are not going to produce any precipitation. I've had people say, oh, we seed the clouds. It'd be like throwing grass seed on concrete. There's not enough moisture in the atmosphere to get anything to germinate. You're not going to get any precipitation. Winds tonight will circle around a bit from the southeast for a time, but the big concern tomorrow is they're going to start to come in from the west to southwest. Hotter and drier conditions will be returning to the area tomorrow. There is some rain in the 7-day forecast, though. I'll talk about that in a few more minutes.
All right, Mike, thanks very much.
The Call 7 investigators uncovering new information about the time it took fire crews to get to the High Park fire when it was first reported Saturday morning. Call 7 investigator John Ferrugia looking at the timeline of the response. And John, it took an hour and a half before crews found the fire.
Yeah, and that's because the Larimer County Sheriff's Office says with the rough terrain, fire crews couldn't get to the flames very quickly. Now, Call 7 is told that when emergency personnel got the first call from a citizen about 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday, fire crews got to that scene around 7:30 or so, and at that time, the fire was just a couple of acres, but it quickly blew up to 40 acres. At 8 on Saturday morning, some 2 hours after the first report, a single-engine air tanker was called out to help, but it wasn't able to get airborne over the fire and drop retardant until after 9 a.m. At that point, the wildfire was exploding out of control.
It was a very unpredictable wildfire, grew very, very rapidly, and our personnel did the very best they could to keep up with it. I think did an excellent job with that.
Now, fire crews searched for flames and smoke looking at a 640-acre area section by section until they found the source of the flame. Reporting live in the newsroom, I'm John Ferrugia, 7 News.
All right, John, thank you. And you, of course, can read more about what we've learned about the origin of the High Park fire and view hundreds of photos sent in by our viewers. You can do that right now on thedenverchannel.com.